Hello and welcome to Aging Fearlessly. I'm your host, Guillermo Vidal. So tell me something. What makes less sense? Beating a dead horse to get him to run or watering a dead plant to bring her back to life? Does it matter what time of the day you do this? Is there an appropriate season of the year to do these useless things? This is how nonsensical the logic behind our excuses to stay in a dysfunctional relationship sound like. What sense does it make for two people in a bad relationship to wait until they have the right amount of money in the bank or for the kids to grow up, etc., before they consider ending it? Now, perhaps it is the stories of recovered love that fan our flames of hope, but these are few and far in between. Statistics show that rebound relationships never really work out. The fact is that just like there's no raising a horse or plant from the dead, there is nothing we can do to bring back to life a love that has expired. So why is it that so many of us waste so many years of our lives living in the ashes of an expired love? Well, I believe there are these 4 reasons why we hang on. The first one is fear. It's not surprising that fear would be at the top of the list. We fear what the unknown might bring, or we question whether we can find a better mate or not. We fear others will view us as failures, or that we lack the emotional maturity to be in a relationship. But reality is that, like everything else in this world, nothing's permanent. Likewise, nothing guarantees that love between two people will last forever. The fact is that fear has little values in our lives. Most of our fears come from our ego, who wants to discourage us from disrupting the safety and comfort we have set up in our lives. But fear of losing love does not improve your chances of making the relationship last. In fact, I contend this kind of fear will eventually hasten love's demise. The second reason is what I call Hollywooditis. Movies and romantic stories have sold us on the idea that we can somehow recover true love if we fight for it hard enough. This is pure bullshit. Love is not lovelier the second time around, like the song says. It's one thing to battle through difficult circumstances, like you're serving in the military to fight overseas and that separates you from your family, or you're separated from your family for political reasons, and to reunite with the person you love, they're in another country. This is very possible to do it, but it is another matter to believe that there is something you can do to cause a person who no longer loves you to fall in love with you again. Now, if it's already apparent to you that your partner has lost that loving feeling, then the relationship is probably doomed. If this is your case, then you should start thinking about building a life without him. The third reason is laziness. Very few people welcome change into their lives. Most of us don't want to change our habits or our comfort zone, nor do we want to move to another home or change our financial situation. It is very uncomfortable to deal with this kind of unpredictability in our lives. So we stay until the pain of staying in the relationship becomes greater than the fear of starting life anew. Many are too lazy or afraid to take the first step, and so they quietly hope and wait for their partner to leave. But this is a loser option that could take years to unfold. The fourth reason comes down to your individual religious beliefs. Now, of all the 4 reasons to stay in a relationship, I find this one to be the lamest because it's solely based on religious guilt that was taught to us when we were children. Now, if you were brought up in a Christian religion, then you know that they consider divorce as wrong. After all, you took an oath of until death do us part, and you're not supposed to break it. But no matter what religious teachings emphasize, divorces happen. In fact, over 50% of marriages end up in divorce. So, should those who exist in dead marriages stay in them because of the vows they'd taken decades before? No, of course not. Should we who have divorced beat ourselves up with religious guilt because our marriages did not last? No, of course not. Now, does all this come from our thought that ending a relationship is a failure? Well, there are other cultural and social segments of our society who view the discontinuation of a relationship as a failure. But staying in a dead relationship for the 4 reasons I mentioned is just about as dumb as beating a dead horse or watering a dried up plant to bring these things back to life. No matter how hard you try, the relationship just continues to get deader. Even worse, wasting your effort trying to resuscitate a dead relationship delays your ability to find a new and perhaps truer love. Or you may just simply be in need of a new relationship to relearn a lesson you have not learned yet. Nevertheless, as I look back on my 40 years of marriages, these are the things I gleaned about relationships. When we're younger, we put so much stock in beauty, on sexuality, that it's hard not to confuse these things with love. Moreover, the feelings of attraction burn so hot in the beginning of a relationship that it's difficult to imagine they will ever go away. But they do. And sometimes that means the couples grow apart after that fire is gone. And oftentimes the separation is like an emotional crater that cannot be crossed. Yet some couples will still choose to stay in loveless marriages. They go on even to celebrate decades of anniversaries commemorating their marriage. But that is just a fictional story they present to family and friends. In private, they live lonely and tortured lives. I'm sure you know couples like that. Now, perhaps the time has come for us to see the purpose of relationships as something different. Perhaps they're a classroom where a couple is taught a curriculum that is meant for the 2 individuals who've agreed to share their lives for a while. Perhaps relationships only last as long as we need them to teach us the lesson they contain. Now, for some couples, this learning can last a lifetime. For others, well, you know what? They may need to have distinctive partners at different times in their lives. I have. But when it is obvious that love no longer exists, it's time to move on. Think about it. Would you stay in a classroom after the professor has left, the students have gone, and the lights have been turned out? Of course not. There would be nothing left to learn. The same holds true when your love for your partner or theirs for you has left the building. Don't waste your time trying to preserve a relationship that is over. Your life is too important and your time on earth too precious to do that. Thank you for joining me today.